You're listening to the Swap Society podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Robertson. I interview thought leaders and change makers who are working to create a more sustainable and equitable world through fashion, art, and activism. Join us for a dose of climate optimism as we envision a brighter future. Hey everyone, welcome to the Swap Society podcast. Today I'm so excited to be talking with Teresa Baxter. She's the co-founder of Fair Trade Long Beach. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Nicole. Thanks for having me here today. I'm so excited.
It's so exciting to talk with you today. Where are you? Well, I'm assuming you're in Long Beach, but where are you from originally?
Believe it or not, I found out that my mom was pregnant with me here in Long Beach, but I've lived everywhere. My dad was in the Navy, raised in San Gabriel Valley, went to the East Coast, spent some time in Key West, Florida, full circle, New York City, Washington, D.C., and here now back where I was conceived.
Very cool. So tell us, how did you get involved with fair trade and the fair trade movement and ultimately starting Fair Trade Long Beach?
Okay, I started volunteering with 10,000 Villages in Pasadena about 15 years ago, helped open the store at the time. I put myself back in college to study like international trade relations and journalism. I was there for about 4 years volunteering, and then I got accepted to Columbia University. So then that took my fair trade journey over to New York City. I worked with an international NGO as a publicity coordinator at Handcrafting Justice with Sister Marine and became involved in fair trade there too.
What was it in particular about the fair trade movement that sparked your interest? Was there a moment in the past where you had this aha moment of like, oh my gosh, I need to be a part of this?
Yeah, my very first impact, I can tell you a story of putting in a shift at 10,000 Villages. And after my shift, I bought a pair of earrings, and the epiphany was like, wow, maybe I fed a family for a week by purchasing these earrings. But what later progressed into my passion going back to school was the reality of helping women internationally. So women helping women, women empowering women, being a woman and realizing how much we could lift each other up.
I love that. And it makes me think about sometimes you see these feminist t-shirts, for example, right? With the, with these statements, which can be really powerful and make people feel good, like, but oftentimes those are made in modern day slavery conditions.
Horrible irony, horrible.
Yeah.
But I do have Malia Designs in the store. Malia Designs is totally fair trade. And one of my favorite pouches from Malia Designs, where they work with women in Cambodia. Oh, I should have just grabbed it and had it with me and showed it to you. But my favorite pouch says, "Today we smash the patriarchy."
That's great. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's sometimes, especially in the Western world, right? We can get caught up in these ideas and wanting to do good, but it can be harder sometimes to know or even know where are my things coming from, or even this awareness that this is an issue. Do you feel like people that are drawn to your shop or to this movement, do you feel like they already are educated on this, or do you feel like a part of what you're doing is also kind of helping to educate the general population about these issues?
Well, I've lived coast to coast in different cities and metropolises, from Los Angeles, Pasadena, New York, Washington, D.C., and having settled in Long Beach, because my husband was retiring, I was looking for lots of activities for him. I was looking for a community where we fit in here. And I've never lived in a more progressive city than Long Beach, California. Let me tell you that. And the population, I believe, is 500,000. But all of us have this sense of community here. And I've always said Long Beach is the biggest small town that I've ever lived in. So it's not a hard sell to do the right thing with your shopping here. And I feel that we came here on the pulse of fair trade 4 years ago. And so we've been embraced by so many like-minded organizations, whether it be the Long Beach Human Trafficking Task Force, who we partner with Fair Trade Expos. We were just at Vanguard University in Costa Mesa last week for their human trafficking event. The Long Beach Grocery co-op who's trying to get off the ground here with a community-owned grocery store, which would carry a lot of fair trade products. So I guess I came in as an advocate at the perfect timing, and I thank a higher power for that.
If you could just sum it up into a few key points, if somebody is, listening and they're new to this idea of fair trade, what are a few things that you wish more people were aware of or knew about?
I get Cal State University students here for service hours, and they're in the hospitality trade. And I'm supposed to teach them supply chains and transparency. And the most shocking thing that I hit everybody with is that Hershey's, Mars, Nestle is still using child labor with no excuse, no logic, no reasoning, only because of the bottom line. So that's Fair Trade 101. There's still slavery in the world. Our governments can tell us that they abolished slavery, but it's rampant. It's rampant through child labor, sweatshop labor, sex trafficking. I mean, this opens your eyes, and everything in our store will tell you what the message is behind it and how we are trying to better lives of people that are still being oppressed in modern day society.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned chocolate. That is definitely one of the things that I make a conscientious choice to buy fair trade chocolate and fair trade coffees and teas as well, because I know those are categories that have, these issues. It's actually, I had a conversation with someone recently where I said, oh, well, I only buy fair trade chocolate. It was like a brand maybe they hadn't recognized or what have you. And I said, yeah, I only buy fair trade chocolate. And they said, oh, you're so funny. And so then I was like, okay, well, most chocolate is made through slave labor, and a lot of that is child slave labor. So that's why I only buy fair trade chocolate. So it's actually not funny. It's like
nothing funny about that.
It's really not. But then they were like, oh, well, how do you know if it's fair trade? And then I showed them the little symbol that, it can have a certification symbol. And, I think that sometimes you have to just be really blunt with people, right? I mean, there's like I know that sometimes a softer message can get across better, but it's like we're talking about the lives of other human beings on this earth. And so, sometimes I guess I'm a little more blunt as need be.
Yeah, to the right audience too. And I'm like, yeah, chocolate shouldn't taste like child tears. I'm sorry. And that fair trade label, I mean, just gives it an extra oomph of tasting so much better. I mean, fair trade wine. I also arrange parties with Fair Spirits. I don't know if you're familiar with fair trade vodka, quinoa vodka from Fair Spirits. They're based out of Paris, France, but they do happy hours with us. We find bars here in Long Beach that have the Fair Spirits quinoa vodka made by women in Bolivia at a cooperative. So it tastes so much better, something as simple as that.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. That sounds really fun. I'll have to drive down that way sometime.
Yeah, fun happy hours.
So, since we're talking about fair trade categories, obviously fair trade fashion is something that we spend a lot of time thinking about and working on. Have you been involved at all locally? I know you're in Long Beach and not quite in LA, but with some of the movements locally to kind of abolish sweatshops here, and what are some things you've encountered generally with fair trade fashion?
Yeah, we do Fashion Revolution every year in April to memorialize the Rana factory collapse. So we are very, very, very strong in our advocacy against sweatshop labor and the reality of knowing where the clothes are made, where they came from, who made my clothes. That's the hashtag. If you go upstairs, we do have our own sustainable thrift shop. I'm right on the pulse with that too. And so I have all the signage from Fashion Revolution up there. So everybody thinks about where their clothes from when they shop our thrift store upstairs. And thrilled to tell you that even some of our thrift is actually some fair trade labels. Like, I don't know if you can look behind me, there's a dress hanging right there. I wanted to show that that's fair trade and that is thrift shop. So that Mata Trader's dress is $10 and it's on sale upstairs in our thrift store. So we're all about sustainable fashion.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's strangely, it seems like a lot of people think our clothes are made by machines. So I think to begin with, people don't even realize how much human labor goes into the stuff that we buy. And then, that on top of it, I mean, a lot of these brands, like you mentioned, all of those chocolate brands, those are the beloved candy brands of our country, right? And that's what people are largely buying. Same thing for clothes. Sometimes you think, oh, well, that's a classic American brand. It must be good or fine. Can you talk a little bit about the working conditions that some of these people, I know we've thrown around the term slavery, but I'd love for you to shed some light on the real working conditions that some of these people have to endure.
Oh, yeah, because I went back to Columbia University and was studying international trade and relations. And this was just 10 years ago that I was there. And, we had a strong community of advocacy and learning about the working conditions in other parts of the world. And one of the most eye-opening documentaries I saw was Maquilopolis. And that was about how we outsourced all the way down to the borders of Mexico and the working conditions there. And the thing that I've learned is if you outsource jobs and exploit people in these horrible working conditions where there were chemicals running through their waters, another one is the true cost. And it was brought up that the women in Mexico with these chemicals, they were having babies that were being born without brains. And, the mother's sense is to stand up for herself and her rights. And these abuses were so horrible. Maquilopolis, City of Factories, was produced by NPR. So I really am going to back it as transparent too. And so these women organized and they stood up for themselves. And then what do these big corporations do? They're like, okay, we'll just pack up and go to Indonesia. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It's cyclical. When we see Hershey's and we confront them about child labor, I protested them in 2010. They said they'd be fair trade by 2017. There's no reason why you can't go fair trade within like 6 months. But the bottom line that pays all their investors is worth it more to them than to children's lives and livelihoods. So, yeah, I feel that maybe these corporations think, well, this next generation isn't going to care. We can brainwash this next generation, but I'm saying it's upon me and my generation to make sure this next generation is more aware, their eyes are open. And I feel it's really happening.
I certainly hope so. I mean, I think I see signs of that as well. But again, I'm in LA. I'm not that far from you. It's, there is maybe a little more heightened awareness in my personal bubble. Not necessarily everyone here, but there are a lot of people doing really important work. That I talk to, which is so exciting. At the same time, I'm always thinking about how can we reach more people? How can we get people to buy less new stuff? Buy more secondhand. I love that you're thrifting at your shop as well. And then if you do buy brand new stuff, try to get fair trade items if possible. I know that sometimes that doesn't seem as accessible or easy for people. So I love that you have a whole shop dedicated to so many cool things. And you did mention, way back, you bought those earrings and you thought, wow, maybe I fed a family for a whole week. I think that, because the economics of certain countries and areas are so different, even if you're only making a few fair trade purchases, that can still have a pretty big ripple effect, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. Shopping from all around the world. And we do explain it that way. I do have the Haitian cut metal wall art that's made from recycled oil drums. And so when I put that in perspective, I do field trips here with students from high schools and colleges, and I go speak at colleges. And the main thing is to explain to the students what their living wage is, because, people in Haiti survive off of $1 a day. So if we have this beautiful wall art where we're going to pay the artist a fair wage, say the wall art sells here for about $95, that artist is probably funneling in $40 of that $95 into his local Haitian community. And that's what makes sense to people. And we have the Kisi stone from Kenya. And I remember watching a documentary about the Kisi Mountains that it's named after. And that was with 10,000 villages. And so the villagers tell you specifically, this group, 10,000 villages, comes in and puts us on their shoulders. And then we put everybody else on our shoulders in our community. And so that's the uplifting nature of what you're accomplishing.
I love it. And I know that you have a special event coming up, so I definitely want to hear about that so we can tell everyone about it. Yeah, when is it and what's it all about?
So I'm very excited because in my career with fair trade, one of the the most exciting events every year to take part in, whether you are traveling to Minneapolis, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois, wherever the Fair Trade Federation was having their yearly conference. It's just such an exciting gathering of like-minded people, the best of the best, from Dr. Bronner's Equal Exchange, 10,000 Villages, Serve Product, almost every single product line that's in our retail collective here being represented at these Fair Trade Federation conferences. The last one, I went to the one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Del Mar, California, Denver, Colorado, and then COVID shut us down. So we haven't been able to convene and meet in over 3 years. And then I opened up the Retail Collective about 3.5 years ago, got myself on the national leadership team with the fair trade campaigns. And I feel that we've done exceptional work in bringing the spotlight into Long Beach, and to find out that the first Fair Trade Federation conference after COVID is going to take place here in Long Beach. Everybody from all around the world. Our keynote speaker is the president of the World Fair Trade Organization, and she's a woman, and I look forward to that. And I'll be presenting with Alicia C. in Haiti, who's the executive director from Fair Trade LA. We'll be presenting at one of the breakout sessions. And this is going to take place on March 28th, 29th, and 30th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I'm excited because wherever we have these conferences, we try to find a fair trade store to have like an after hours shindig at. And there's many little fair trade stores around me, but I'm just so proud that we're going to have our after hours party on that Wednesday, the 29th, from 7 to 10 here at our Fair Trade Long Beach Retail Collective. The conference is at the Westin Hotel down by the ocean, and there's just going to be shuttle buses coming back and forth, and we're expecting 100 guests that evening. I'm so excited. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that sounds so great. And how exciting to have that here in Long Beach this year, especially after such a long hiatus. So, can the general public attend this event?
The general public can attend the event. I encourage people that are interested in being a retailer of fair trade products in their stores, just a little corner, a little nook. I encourage you to go and hobnob and network. It's the most exciting opportunity of networking I've ever had in my life. I look forward to it. You find out that your global community is actually pretty small. I mean, you just get to know everybody.
So, I always love to ask, because I love a good fashion love story, which definitely has been inspired by Fashion Revolution, who I know you also love to work with. But do you have a favorite piece in your closet? And what is it and what do you love about it?
So my favorite piece in my closet, which I'm going to say I live here at the Retail Collective. So my closet is the thrift store upstairs. And there's so many pieces up there that I could highlight. And a lot of them are fair trade. I know that we have some Serve wraps up there. We had the Mata Trader's dress. I know that there's some Marte Boomy up there. One of the things that happened at our thrift store with my collective, because I have 20 partners here under one roof. And so, at Christmas time, you get gifts that you're not going to appreciate from somebody. So many of my partners brought, I guess it's like regifting upstairs. So if you got a new fashion, like somebody got Harley Davidson boots brand new for $180. The husband got them and it wasn't his style. So what have they done? They put them upstairs at their thrift store that we all share together, and brand new Harley Davidson boots priced at $100. So that's the example. And I'd hate to admit that so many of us, go buy clothing that we might not ever wear that sits in our closet for a year. And you need to do that. If you haven't wore it in a year, sell it. So some of the name brands that we have upstairs, I still have their tags on them and the prices, the original prices. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of that upstairs too.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's so much clothing in the world. And there's a stat that the average American woman doesn't wear 70% of what's in their closet. And so, I mean, I think the first step to having a closet full of things that you love is purging. If it doesn't fit, if you never wear it, if you haven't worn it in a year, if it doesn't make you feel great, you should pass it on so it can live its best life with someone else, whether it be selling it or swapping it or donating it to a thrift shop where that it'll be cherished by someone else. I pretty much stopped buying brand new clothes in 2010, which, as the clock keeps ticking, it gets longer and longer. I mean, I buy some things like, underwear and socks and that are new, and I make sure that they're fair trade. There's so much opportunity for people to embrace secondhand. I love that you wear secondhand. I love that you have secondhand in addition to all of your newer fair trade items, because I think that reuse is a really important part of being more sustainable. So that's really fantastic. What's inspiring you these days? Is there any art or books or activists or people that are just really revving you up right now?
From my history of going to Columbia University in New York City, I was so excited to learn that the Earth Institute from the United Nations was based on my campus with Jeffrey Sachs. And the Earth Institute originally started the Millennial Development Goals to end poverty by the year 2000, but we had to extend it. And now they're called the Sustainable Development Goals, which mirrors a lot of our fair trade principles: no child labor, gender equity at the job, respect for the planet, all of these. So Jeffrey Sachs is my god and my idol. He did a documentary with Hugh Jackman a few years ago about Deep Holly's dream, and Hugh Jackman started his Laughing Man coffee line that promoted fair trade also with World Vision. So he just came out with this book, and it's called Ethics in Action for Sustainable Development. That's my joy. And it also has a bunch of the biggest names in the Sustainable Development Goals, from politicians to religious leaders. So it's going to be my Bible and my handbook for the next couple of weeks.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, in this time of just global crisis, the climate crisis and climate anxiety and just so many stressful and, often overwhelming things going on. I always like to ask people, what's keeping you feeling optimistic about the future?
I surround myself with young people, whether it be going back to university, whether it be having students come here for field trips, speaking at Point Loma Nazarene, speaking at church events. And even when I was at Columbia University, my epiphany was, wow, 50%, I don't want to overgeneralize, but 50% of the students at Columbia University wanted to conquer the world through Wall Street. And the other 50% of us wanted to save the world. And that's a reflection of the next generation, too. And one thing I learned is some of my friends that wanted to conquer the world through Wall Street, after about 7 or 8 years, they got burned out. And they came to our side because we had fair trade cookies.
So it sounds like for you, just seeing that people can change, right? That people can see kind of it's like kind of, what do we value as a society, right? What do we value as people? I mean, I think that some people will never change, right? But a lot of people can kind of start to see that there can be a better way to operate and to do business. Personally, I always really like to think about the triple bottom line concept, right? That it's not just doing well financially, but that you're also keeping environmental sustainability in mind and, human health and happiness, right? That the people that are working with you and for you are living a healthy and happy life. Maybe, I mean, we can't control happiness, right? But that we're not taking advantage of people, that people are treated with respect and dignity, and that we're not subjugating them for our financial gain, which I think is such a big part of how our society works at the moment.
Yeah. It reminds me, I have favorite quotes that I have, and I believe it was the Dalai Lama who said, if you can't help people, at least don't hurt them. And so that's my compassionate force in life.
Hmm. That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, do no harm, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Your Instagram, it's at Fairtrade Long Beach. Um, what is do you have a website as well? How else can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, we have a great webmaster. I really love the website he's created for us. We try to keep it up to date. It comes across more as a community organization, and our Instagram comes across as, a day in the life here at Fairtrade Long Beach at our collective with our events, things that are coming up. So for our website, just www.fairtradelongbeach.com.
Very cool. And anything else you want to add? Anything you'd like to share with the world before we say our goodbyes?
Just if ever you're in Long Beach, come see me. Oh, and I have exciting news too, because I don't know if you understand when I say this concept of 20 different stores under one roof. So you walk in and every 5x5 section might be Ecuador, Kenya, Haiti, local artists. A middle school in Compton has their business program here, their after school program, or they have to have a B plus average to sell in the store. Well, one of my pride and joys is that I've had two of my partners. You want them to fly and be free and open up their own stores, hopefully their own little fair trade, sustainably sourced store. And it's exciting to me that Claribel with Amarte is her Oaxacan line of fair trade, sustainably sourced clothing. And then I had Jordan, who graduated from Vanguard University, but he was from Senegal and he has his Senegal line of products too. Well, I'm just so excited to share that they opened up their own store when the store next to me became available during COVID. So you have two fair trade stores here side by side. It's a great shopping village. It's called Parkview Village Shops. We're at Carson and Bellflower. Got this old town vibey feel. There's some really eclectic boutiques. We have Michelin star Indian restaurant here. So yeah, if I want to leave anything from you is come to Long Beach and make a day of it here at our village. You'll have fun.
That sounds amazing. And I can't wait to come and visit your store in person as well and, catch up again. So, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. This was so fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this platform.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to the Swap Society podcast. Swap Society is an online clothing swap for women and kids that makes it easy and affordable to mix up your wardrobe sustainably. We're a growing community of women across the USA who are creating positive change by swapping our clothes and slowing down our fashion consumption. We would love to swap with you. If you're interested in joining, you can sign up at our website. Learn more at www.swapsociety.co. That's swapsociety.co. You can find the show notes for each episode on our website. Please get in touch with us on social media too. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube for the video version of this podcast at Swap Society. Music is by Joel Korlitz and yours truly. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please help us spread the word by subscribing, leaving a rating and review, sharing on social media, or simply telling a friend. We really appreciate your support. Have a wonderful day, and remember to swap before you shop.